There have been a million videos done on how real estate can bring you financial independence. In this video, I give my experience, and all you can do to figure out your experience is take action, but hearing my experience and what I've helped others experience will give you just a better idea of what to expect. Because the last thing we want to do is give you a goal that is unachievable or a goal that is too dang easy. Let's go. My name is Darson Grantham. I am an investor, a real estate agent in Des Moines, Iowa. And on this channel, I talk about personal finance, real estate investing, Des Moines, Iowa, all of the things that are a part of my life and I love sharing with other people. And so if you are clicking on this, you're probably curious, why would Darson talk about financial independence? My answer to that is, it's how I started in real estate. I lost a W-2 job and I realized I had one provider to pay me. When I lost that one provider, they're gone. And those of you who've been fired, it's impactful. It's demoralizing. It gives me chills right now just thinking about it, because you feel like you weren't enough. Even though it might, like hindsight, take a step back, it might not have been your fault. And it might not have been anything you could have done differently. It could have been, might not have been. But that is usually someone that is not happy with the control of their life. They're clicking on a video like this. And I've clicked on many of these videos, but in this video, I'm going to give you my experience of what I think financial independence and real estate, how they tie together, and how you should think about that process. I don't know everything, and nobody on YouTube knows everything. So this video will be my perspective and my consulting view of what I like to do when someone asks me, hey, I'm buying real estate investment properties in order to become financially independent. The word FIRE, financial independence, retire early. I got hooked on after it. After I got fired the first time, I was very hooked on that movement. When you're ready to be financially independent, you'll do anything. I would have done anything, almost anything to get there. At the time, I was actually watching Breaking Bad. No, I didn't get any ideas to do something similar, but it rings true to me at that time, because he was doing things to get himself out of financial stress, financial poverty, financial whatever, right? Luckily, most of us don't have that stressor, don't have quite that scenario, or don't go to quite that extreme. I don't recommend it. I don't condone it, but it does give you an idea of what human race is capable of doing in order to become financially independent or get ahead, right? Movies are just scattered with this. Financial independence is a thing that hasn't been popularized except for maybe the last 5, 6, 7 years, but it's been a thing since the gold rush, right? The 1800s, people moved west in order to get gold to become wealthy and financially independent. It was always that, hey, how do we get that quick fix? How do we achieve that wealth? What is the process? So, in my opinion, real estate is a way to become financially independent. It's not the only way. It's maybe not the most efficient way, although you could probably argue it might be the most efficient way. I think it's a combination of things, but I do think that it's something that you should consider. You should think about. You should look at your life and figure out, where does it fit for me? What does financially independent mean? So, tons of calculations on what makes someone financially independent, and I will get into that. But I always ask, my front end question is, what is it about your job that makes you not want to do it? Why do you want to become financially independent? One of the good thought practices here is ask yourself why 7 times. You'll get to the brass tacks truth of it. I can never get past 4 or 5. I'm sure there's something out there. I probably need to go through therapy. But figure out why. What is it that financial independence could bring to your life? Because I would argue that if it is a stressful job, if it is a stressful boss, a dynamic, a lifestyle that Although you feel at the time you can't control, I promise you, you can control it. From someone who has experienced it, has been in it, has seen people in it and get out of it, that stressor, whatever it is, if you take control of your situation, you can get out of it. Now, what does that mean? To me, it meant knowing my finances. My wife and I learned from the Dave Ramsey plan, Dave Ramsey get out of debt plan, that we could live on $3,000 a month. Pretty low amount. And in my opinion, where we're at in Des Moines, Iowa, that's pretty low. We pay mortgage, we could pay all of our expenses. We could live relatively happy for that amount, for $3,000 a month. We didn't love it. We didn't go out to eat at all. We didn't eat anything grass-fed like we typically do. Like that was brass the very bottom. But it was something. It was a baseline that I knew in my head, if I can make $3,000 a month, I can support my family. That's what clicked for me. Just literally clicked. I can deliver pizzas for $3,000 a month. I can waitress. I don't know if I could, but a person could. I'd go work 80 hours a work week in order to provide for my family if all I needed to make was $3,000 a month. So when I knew that number, I knew that nobody had control over me and my job, me and my income. Because I'm a pretty competent dude. I'm fairly certain I can go get one of those jobs that pays $3,000 a month. Just can. I'm 100% confident of it. If you are not, I would encourage you to read some self-help books. And self-help sounds bad, but in reality, it's a very good industry that you need to develop confidence in and your skill sets. A lot of people call it a talent stack. So learn some talents that stack upon each other. So I went out. I don't even know why I did. I know why I did it, kind of, but it was super random. I went and took a copywriting course. So I took it from some copywriting experts, and copywriting is basically writing ads for companies, Facebook ads, magazine ads. I never did it, but I learned how I learned how they worked, the copywriters worked, how their brain worked, what words they like to use, what words they didn't like to use, how they like to structure sentences. And at the time, I didn't know where that would fit in the talent stack that I was developing. But now as a real estate agent and someone who writes titles to YouTube videos in order to get clicks and get people to view it and provide value, came in very, very, very handy. So I find that super interesting. So if you're someone who might work at a job where you don't get paid what you think you deserve and you are not willing to quit, what job can you go get tomorrow to pay your expenses and keep your expenses low? If you're married, that's going to involve some intense conversations with your spouse. And some people have put themselves in a place where they might not be able to quit, or they aren't being clear with their spouse of how real unhappy they are at their work in order to quit their job and get out of that and into something that it could be the same job, just at a different company. You'd be amazed at how many people, I hate my job. No, you don't. You hate where you're at. Go find a company that wants you there. It's not that hard. There's tons of them. So that'd be my encouragement to you. Again, that kind of wraps up my personal finance. And I really just talked on the budget and expenses right there. You need your personal finance put together. You don't need to be putting money away in retirement. Like, that's not part of your minimum amount, because this is not a forever plan. You're just doing this for a period of time until you can get over and into a different job. I highly encourage you to think through, do you have a expense problem? Meaning, can you lower expenses? Maybe, maybe not. And if you don't, you then have an income problem. You need to make more money, learn more skills, talk to your bosses about raises, apply to other companies. Like, each of those rings get you more. And it's up to you to study. Nobody is going to do this for you. We used to work in HR, in benefits, and in the compensation department. So I'd hear all the compensation talk and plans and, managers talking about the employees and who performs and who doesn't perform. It takes a very special manager to truly care about your pay, like truly care about it and try to get it high. Now, they might value you. They might get you higher percentages of raises, but This is 2022. If you didn't get a 7% raise last year, or at the end of the last year, you're actually making less money due to inflation than you were in 2021. That's crazy. That's mind-blowing. That's something that you need to think about. Not a huge impact today, but it will at the end of the year. It will be in 5 years. Anyway, pay attention. Okay, so how does your finances play a part into financial independence? Well, the answer to that is the lower your monthly expenses are, or annual expenses are, the less money you need in order to become financially independent. There's calculations. I'll let you go Google them, but you have expenses. Next up, building wealth, growing your wages, trying to present a gap of wages versus expenses, and you're saving this, the middle part there, into assets that produce income. And I say produce income because that is important. You cannot just put them in assets that are not producing. For example, and I'm not going to get political here, but gold has not had a huge increase over the last 5-10 years. Been very stable, has not had a huge increase. Has not had a decrease, but you need to pay attention to, is that an asset that if I need income to be financially independent, is that product, gold, going to provide that? Hasn't for the last 5 to 10 years, but it's not, shouldn't, yes or no? I don't know, it's up to you. Stocks, same way. You can put money in stocks and they can grow, but you're gonna have to sell them to produce income. Some will have dividends, that's another option, just a different asset class. Now, real estate, that's kind of where this comes into play. You can buy rental property real estate that cash flows after expenses with a down payment of anywhere from 10 to 25% leveraged by the bank, right? And when you hear leverage, scares the bejesus out of some people, me included, completely agree, but that leverage portion is what gets you the exponential growth in wealth. Now, when I started into the rental business and buying rental or researching rentals, I wanted to buy everything with cash. That was my first plan. I ran the numbers and I realized that is possible. It's a slower plan. It provides a lot more stability. You have much less risk. But hear me out. In real estate, due to the fact that the market is very trackable, and I say the real estate market, sales price of houses, very trackable. If you put 20% down on a property that is not overpriced because you and your agent, you and whoever, have evaluated that property, the market is not going to crash 20% tomorrow or the next day. It might over time, but it's not going to crash like that. Even in 08-09, it didn't crash like that. It took time. You can see it coming. You can prepare yourself. You can decide what you want to do. But I would encourage you, if you do buy real estate, plan to keep it forever. You do not want to sell this. You don't sell it in order to be financially independent. You keep it because it produces cash flow to you, produces a paycheck, be it a small one at first, and then builds up over time, but it produces, right? A lot of other benefits of real estate, not going to get into it, but that is what I've seen as the most efficient way to build wealth and become financially independent, using that asset or an asset to be tax favored, appreciate, and cash flow. The cash flowing part is key because when the markets crash in the past, they have not decreased. Rents have not decreased. Think about that. This is what triggered me when I decided not to buy with cash and I decided to leverage, is I'd put 20% down. Worst case scenario, and I had to sell tomorrow and it dropped 20%. I lost my down payment. It was not going to put me out. Bank wasn't going to foreclose on me because I got on the property. 20%, right? Now, if you're putting 0% down, that's where you could come into some risk. So if you are buying rental properties, depending on what your scenario is, a very conservative way to do it is make sure you're not leveraged more than 80%. So you're putting 20% down. If you do that, your rents likely are not going to come down, and you've properly looked at the property to make sure that the repair items are not extravagant, that is going to be a great property for you in the long term. It's going to create that financial independence. Again, a lot more benefits of real estate, definitely other asset classes also, but if you're going to become financially independent and real estate is your plan, it's very possible. It's not easy. It's simple, not easy. Buy cash flow, let them appreciate over time, let the rents appreciate over time, let the cash flow buy the next property or pay down the debt, right? It's all very possible, but it's up to you to make that a part of your plan, a part of your strategy of financial independence. I'm happy to help out. I talk people through this every day. I talk a lot of people out of it. A lot of people are not ready. So if this is you and you just want to have that conversation of, hey, I want to plan to become financially independent, because right now, all I'm doing is putting money into my 401k plan, which is all fine and dandy, except when you retire at 45 and you can't pull anything out, you can, but not really, of your 401k, what are you going to do? Money's all locked up. That's where I have a struggle with the retirement type plans. They have a place. They aren't the only place, in my opinion. So, studied this quite a bit, had a lot of conversations around it, helped people through it. So if you have any questions, please reach out. My name is Darson Grantham. This is not financial advice, but again, I'm a licensed real estate agent in Iowa. I work with investors. I work with people that are buying, selling in the Des Moines area, Des Moines Metro. And if you have any questions, either watch more videos or reach out. Set up a Zoom call and we have a conversation of what financial independence means to you, what it can do for you. Do you even need to directly pursue it, or can you just passively pursue it and keep W-2 job through financial independence? A lot of moving parts there. Again, I appreciate you watching this video. Until next time, peace out.